Your Excellencies, my lords, ladies and gentlemen, I can't wait to hear who's won. This has been difficult, rewarding in a pulsating kind of way, and in the end decisive. No messy compromise with a book that none of us was enthusiastic about, a decision that we're all very happy about after a long and passionate argument with a bloodless floor left behind us. I said to my fellow judges the other day that after the last of our Herculean labours this afternoon, we'd be able to change our lives, to turn to other books, thrillers of no more than 200 pages, short stories, maybe even the odd lyric poem, or perhaps we might just want to stare into space for a while. There are also things to be done around the house, reshaping the sculpture garden that consists of 132 volumes stacked rather higgledy-piggledy around the place, some bearing the unmistakable signs of having been thrown against the wall in a moment of passion. And across our living rooms we see nothing but, as Woodhouse would have put it, a surging sea of authors. It's good to see some of them here tonight, and to be able to avoid some others with whom the awkward pauses might, I think, stretch to infinity, rather like the deathless prose in some of the books which aren't represented here tonight. But it is very good. I was able to say honestly after we chose the shortlist that we were looking forward to reading them again. That was true. It's a very odd procedure, of course. How often do we read a novel 3 times in the course of 6 or 9 months? How many books could take it? We can report tonight on the result of that effort, not as examiners or nitpickers, but as readers looking for the best of them. This prize is about one thing. It's about quality. And I want to thank my judges especially for their instinctive and unwavering commitment to that word and that belief. They've been a great bunch with a collective literary brain just about the size of Brazil, but also with flair and sparkle and confidence, which is what you need when in your journey you encounter the odd famous author who's produced a spluttering damp squib, and you think, of course, that it's your fault that it's not bursting with fire. We were able to reassure ourselves, to huddle together and to press on through the clinging undergrowth to the sunlit uplands. So let me thank most warmly Lucasta Miller and Sue Perkins, Professor John Mullen and Michael Prodger for all their efforts on that adventure. Can they please take a... I think they should stand up. They've been wonderful, terrifying friends. And as for our guide and mentor along the way, known to many of you, Ian Trewin, we join the long list of those who've got very good reason to be grateful to him. Quality... Quality, you may well think, is so obviously the object of the quest that it hardly needs saying, but there was a time when prizes of this sort were thought sometimes to be slightly artificial exercises, distorting, proper judgment and criticism in favour of the plucking out of some zeitgeist book and the random making of an instant star. That was what prizes sometimes were. The real world of books was different. Well, the truth is that today I think it's the other way around. Authors find, as you know, that a novel is given a chance for a few weeks and that's it. It swims away after its first dive or is left to drown. There's no second chance. The backlists shrink. Book covers become ever more derivative. We've got to have one of those. It's sold zillions. Just write a story to go between the covers. Just look at Connolly's wonderful volume of Faber covers to see how classy and confident it once was. Marketing strategies become the spinal cord of the operation, the book sometimes appearing to be a sort of mere limb that can be lopped off if it's causing too much trouble. Now, I know there are publishers, and many of you here tonight, who don't think like that, or at least convince yourselves in the mirror each morning and evening that you don't, who treasure authors and give them time and give them a chance, and who worry about how writers will make a living in times to come if they're not famous, or even sometimes if they are. And I know, as you all know, wonderful bookshops that care about their stock and serve all the readers with real care, despite the pelting of the pitiless financial storm. But, we know the problems. That contemporary lodestar, the groaning supermarket shelf, purports to represent choice but often delivers the opposite, the world of the warehouse and the oligarchy of centralized ordering. Savage discounting that's got the perverse effect, as we all know, of narrowing the range of books that have a chance. And then there are those categories, children parceled into age groups that don't make sense, an obsession with genres, even in schools, I'm afraid, that represents the novel as a set of sort of fictional templates instead of an original adventure every single time. There's also something we've noticed this year as judges, worth mentioning, I think, too much sloppy editing, letting things run, letting the close line editing of paragraphs slip away as if it's too much trouble. To all that, it is, it seems to me, the job of this prize to say no. We shouldn't be flattening out the cultural landscape. We should be enjoying its heights and its depths and its rough places. That's why the prize should always be looking at itself too. They had a go at us in The New Scientist for ignoring science fiction. Well, I would say that if science fiction is indeed at the cutting edge, it's worth mentioning it to publishers as well, because we can't judge what isn't entered. But these 6 books that have been lapping around in our heads in these last weeks, sometimes thrilling us, occasionally from time to time irritating us, shimmer with quality. Like Simon Moore's Glass Room, gleaming with its own kind of perfection in a disintegrating world, or John Clare's instinctive understanding of what poetry does in Adam Foltz's Quickening Maze, or A.S. Byatt's immersion in the idea of creativity in the children's book. We've been reminded not only how it's done, but why it matters. That's why Hilary Mantel is right to say that she isn't writing historical fiction, but writing about people we recognize who happen to inhabit a different time. Why J.M. Coetzee can play so seriously and brilliantly with the idea of autobiography and in a way break all the rules with splendid, controlled abandon. How Sarah Waters can make you think very uneasily about her narrator on whom we depend for the story and wonder. And there you are. I've mentioned them all in no particular order. I'm afraid the time for such diplomatic maneuvers is nearly past. These were our 6. We lost some lovely books along the way, lyrical, uproariously funny, profound, but that loss is our burden, can't be helped or apologized for. Those that are left are our way of trying to describe quality and of celebrating it. Perfection, as we know, will never be available, but excitement, brilliance, and style are all around us in these books, and in them you will find them all in abundance. It's been our privilege to get inside them and to enjoy them. And then there was one. We knew when we first encountered this book many months ago that it had a special quality. And in the end, after we got to the shortlist, we saw it again for what it was. The others have that quality too, to a great degree. Today's discussions were passionate and committed. Each of us felt that each book that slipped away was lost with great regret. They're all fine pieces of fiction. But in the end, after we got to the moment, we looked across an alpine mountainscape at all these peaks. And when the mist cleared, there was one above them all that still rose. For its ambition and its boldness, for the challenges that it offers readers, and therefore for the rewards that it brings, for its beautiful prose, we're proud to give it this prize. The winner of the Man Booker Prize for Fiction 2009 goes to Hilary Mantel for Wolf Hall.